Now I've been playing around a little with hybrid since the last video, get ourselves a more interesting sound to start with. So now let's actually get straight to looking at the modulation controls. Now the oscillator, filter and amplifier tabs all have modulator subsections. So you can see that oscillators 1 and 2 allow me to adjust pitch, shape and level. And oscillator 3 just has level, sub and noise. Let's go to oscillator 1 here. We can choose our modulation source. So let's do something really blatant and set the oscillator 1 pitch control to be affected by envelope 1. Here's the amount. And here is modulation envelope 1. Here's a modulation envelope 2 if you need it. This is a multi-stage envelope, so we have a start control here. Here we have the start time, so it'll hold at that position for whatever you set this to, and all of these have up to 32 seconds maximum. Now if you want to be accurate about how you set any control, hold the command key, and this allows you to fine-tune any parameter in Pro Tools. So if I want to reset the start level there and now adjust the attack time, you can see how it changes far more slowly. Then we have the decay level and time. Here we have the second decay stage, and here's my sustain level and my release. Let's give this a listen. Probably quite drastic. I like it, but let's turn down the amount. Let's have a look now at the filter modulation controls, and here we can modulate the cutoff, the resonance and the FM frequency modulation. We have the rest of the FM controls here, so oscillator 3 to noise as my modulation source and the modulation depth from here. But for now I'm going to demonstrate the cutoff being modulated by one of the low frequency oscillators. Let's turn up the amount, and you can see we have 3 LFOs available here. I've currently got a sine wave, but I could change the waveform like so. And I've got a depth control, which is going to be in essence the amount that this modulates this amount. Let's have a listen. I can also change the frequency with this little dot. Currently I have sync turned off, and this means that essentially the LFO is running in the background, and when I play a new note it could be pretty much anywhere within the cycle. If I change the sync mode to, let's say, first note, now it's always going to start triggering the LFO from the first note played from this point, so we'll hear it up then down every time. Same again. I can change this to several different options related to beats, related to the step sequencer pages we'll see later, and individually for each note held. But this will allow me to control the exact point in the phase that it starts at. So if I turn this, you can see that it'll now start at around 90 degrees, so it'll start at its peak position. If we have a look at the amplifier modulation controls, you can see here we can control the amplifier with, or the volume, so we could do, let's say, a tremolo effect using an LFO. We could do panning, and we could just do volume according to another envelope. You can also decide that key tracking will affect the panning of your notes, and you can even randomly pan the notes with this one. The Envelopes have additional controls. You can see how much the envelope will be affected by your note velocity, how much the attack section and decay sections are individually affected by the velocity of the notes, and key tracking, so the MIDI note number, how that affects the position or the amount of the envelope. Now there are at the bottom here 4 morph controls. Now morph controls allow me to control multiple parameters with a single pot. To assign things to be controlled by a morph, first thing you need to do is to choose which one of the 4 you want to edit. So let's start with number 1. I'll hit clear, which will get rid of any previous morph assignments. I'm going to control the cutoff frequency, so hold the shift key and click, and you can see an orange line appears. Now this is showing me the morph position minimum and maximum amounts. If I drag to the left, now my maximum morph position will have actually turned the resonance control down, and its minimum position will be 0 offset from my current resonance. So let's see what this does. We have a lot going on there with the LFO, so if I turn the modulation filter amount back down, you might hear more clearly what I'm doing. And it's actually possible for these morph controls to be affecting not only things from this page, but also things from, well, even synth B. Basically, when you open up hybrid, there are 2 different synths, A and B. And you can see at the moment only A is turned on. I could now add part B, which is going to be its default sound, so quite harsh. I could now go to part B, main control, add the filter of this to be also affected by morph 1, and the resonance to be affected inversely like so. And now my morph 1 control is affecting both synth B and synth A together. So the morph controls are very powerful ways of controlling multiple elements of your sound with a single pot. So let's have a look at the next video, where we'll look at the common and the effects pages.